If you would, everybody please take a second and mute any devices that might distract us from going off. If you'll do that, we'll try to be done by 9:30, between 9:30 and 9:45, depending on some questions and answers. Respect everybody's time. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Put your questions, if you don't mind, down in the chat box. Marla monitors those. So we are so excited and grateful that Dr. Wright has made herself and her team available on the second Wednesday of the month. There may not be anything that's more impactful, even for those of us that don't have children in the public schools right now. Our personal and our work lives are being impacted by the families that have 20,000 kids in our school system. So number one topic of around the water cooler right now is almost always around schools. So Dr. Wright, lots changed since the last time we talked. An election, a couple of new board members, and certainly in your world, a moving target every day. How are you this morning?
When you said to mute, I follow rules, so I muted myself as well. But
the teacher doesn't have to mute. You go ahead.
Yeah, I follow rules. But it's a good morning. I mean, every morning that I can, I guess, get up and talk about schools, talk about our students, talk about our teachers. It's a good morning. And, it's one that we can't let world events define what we do and what our charge is. So, Mark, it's good. It's good. So, and you made the comment as far as that so much has changed. I guess, when was the last time we talked? Wednesdays every day to me. I've lost track of time, to be quite honest. So, at the point you were, I think you said something because I could barely hear you, that, we were looking at a board election, which now that's behind us. And we're welcoming 3 new board members, John White, Carrie Pfeiffer, and Jamie Farrow, and welcoming back Larry Tomlinson, who was running in Zone 5. So that's always, not only an exciting time, but a good time because, again, your school board in any school district anywhere in the country is vital and very important as far as the work that they do. We're also getting ready to open up school. It's one that, there's a lot of disagreement locally, statewide, and nationally about whether it should be done, how it should be done, and what will it look like. This week, right now, we have had a full week of teacher training, professional development, and which is not uncommon, and it's not anything that would be new. However, the preparation that's taking place right now is what model, what phase would it be? Should we be in traditional in-person? That might be a temporary measure, or if we're in a hybrid where we reduce 50% of our school population on campus at any time, and on days that they're not there, it's a remote, and how teachers transition to that world, or the one that we don't want to go to, but if we have to, that we will be prepared, unlike what we were faced with last spring after the tornadoes and then moved into the pandemic, is a remote setting. And so our teachers are really getting some really deep training, as well as looking at what they will be doing as far as moving into the classroom. Next Monday, the 17th, we did a 2-week delay just simply because of watching what was happening countywide. And I know that some people take issue that we have to pay attention to Metro, but we have to. We are in such close proximity that there is a residual impact as far as what occurs there. And so next week we're moving into a hybrid model, and it's not to confuse, because I know that many parents, as far as that, if you're going to do that, just send everyone back to school. We're trying to follow the protocols as far as not only looking at social distancing, but also looking at what we can do with small groups to contain as far as exposure with our students. And so for example, you're dividing up your days as far as where 50%, over half of a classroom, will be present 2 days a week, which again, you're talking about containment, and then 3 days they're in remote learning phase. But what occurs in that remote, and this is something that once we walk parents through this, that remote is an extension of that classroom. They're not on their own as far as that they're going to be sitting, at home watching cartoons or whatever it might be, because that extension of that classroom, we set the stage on the days that they're in the class as far as the instruction that takes place. They go home as far as that remote learning, and much of it, they've got their device with offline, which is loaded with materials that they need. They work through the assignments that they are given so that when they come back on their next day, they're ready to go because of the instruction that's been set in place. They've worked through it. And so there's a lot of, and really before we get into COVID, it was a blended model that was used successfully around the country. And so you're hearing a lot on the news right now. In fact, the state of Georgia, that's in a big issue right now with students that have already tested positive, as well as staff members. And so they've moved from a traditional and gone remote, but they're looking at moving to a hybrid. So it's not something that's unique to us. It's just a way of reducing the number of students on campus at any given time. And what we hope for, this is our goal, and this is something I want to make sure, our goal is to get back to in person. But with that, and I say this, and I say it with love and affection, everyone, so no one gets their back up, we have to behave. We simply have to behave. And when I say that, there are precautions that we can take, and it's not a matter of flaunting as far as that, I've had so many lectures lately as far as that I'm running in fear of COVID. No. Those of you that know me, I don't run in fear of a lot of things, but one thing I do have respect for, that we've got a serious virus here that's taking its toll, and that, yes, I've had all the lectures that our children are the least susceptible to the virus, but you know what? I've got to take care of our teachers. They are susceptible. I have to keep them well because I need them in the classroom. And so as I've shared with quite a few parents in the last 2 weeks, that without that teacher in the classroom, we can't have school. So it's not a matter of pushing 20,000 kids into our buildings. We've got to follow those safety protocols and make sure that staff, whether it's teachers, support staff, bus drivers, food service, the obligation there is to keep them well so we can serve our children. And that's something that we lose sight in. So big thing, tomorrow we're doing a ribbon cutting at 5 o'clock tomorrow for Green Hill High School. And I don't have to say that I am thankful beyond measure that we have this high school because with the loss of 2 schools due to the tornado and 1,700 students needing a place to reside, this school will be a blessing beyond belief. And we are ready to go. The 7th and 8th graders have their part of the building, and then the 9th through the 12th grade separate, but very operational. It's going to work well. And then Mount Juliet High School will also have 7th and 8th graders that, again, it's their natural feeder. So they're getting a leg up as far as feel a little big about themselves because they get to start high school early. And then Mount Juliet Middle School will be accommodating Stoner Creek Elementary. And then we'll have 6th graders from both of the Mount Juliet Middle and West Wilson Middle School there as well. We continue to grow. This is not going to be a surprise to Mark as we look at the numbers are coming in. Just to give you an example, Lebanon High School, we had them factored in at about 17,000 students. 1,700 students. I had a heart attack on that one. And right now they're sitting with over 1,800 students with about 25 in the hopper getting ready to enroll. Many of them are moving from out of district into the area. And we're seeing that across the district right now. They continue to come here and, COVID or no COVID, it's the quality of life. This is a great place to live. It's a great place to reside. I think when I go back and I share with people, my colleagues from around the country, what took place here, particularly after the tornado. I don't know that I've ever seen anything take place as far as taking care of your neighbor, taking care of each other as what we've experienced. And that's something that I think we're going to continue to see, that once we get over this angst and tension over starting school, that's probably the big issue right now. Who's right, who's wrong? We need to just jump in and start school and just bring everyone on campus. And if you're paying attention to what's happening, just to many of our neighboring districts, they started school and they've already had to shut down. And that's the last thing we want to do. We want to minimize, because if we can at least get our children in the building, start the protocol, get the devices in their hands, get acclimated to a different way of holding school, we can get around this. We can get around this. And I ask for patience, I ask for mercy, and I ask for grace, because this is something that no one has figured out. I mean, when you look at just the workplace right now, anywhere, no one's got this figured out with certainty. And we certainly don't. But the thing is, we're going to take care of our teachers. Their well-being is so important to us, and they have families too. And the second thing, as far as making sure that we take care of our students. Mark, I know that I'm going on here, but one of the things that I want to really emphasize, that there is a lot of concern with parents that our children have lost 6 months of school. Well, we recognize that, and that's something that on our opening day with teachers, that we're addressing that. We want to make sure that we also look at the well-being of our students. Instruction will take place, but we need to get them all to that place as far as getting back into the routine, the structure of school, the social aspect, which is important for any child. And so that's going to be a big piece. And the thing that I also made it very clear to our teachers as they take on this task and this challenge, that is their number one charge, is to make sure they build a relationship with every student coming into their care. Really know and listen to them, because many of our students have been through a lot, more than many of us will even know. And to deal with that first before we get into the instructional side, because learning becomes much easier when you're in a safe and secure environment. And that's our charge as a district, and it has been for over 3 years. And we've really reaped the results. So with that, it's more than hopeful. I'm excited. We're going to have hiccups, but we always do when we start school. There's going to be a kid that gets on the wrong bus. That happens. We take care of it. There's going to be a child that's, not sure that they want to go to school. They've been home for a while and they like staying in their pajamas, and then they're not real, but we're going to make them excited. We're going to create excitement, but there's going to be some hiccups. And the thing I want to prepare everyone for, we're going to have some positive cases. It's just going to happen. We've already had a neighboring school district that's already experienced it in their first week back. So just be patient and know that, what was that thing, Mark, you said that Jack Daniels says?
Every day we make it the best we can. There
you go. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it the best we can. And so need a lot of prayer, folks, because we're going to go for it. And it's one that we're ready. Our kids are certainly ready. Every time I see any of them out, they want to know, and it's not so much that they want to get back to the learning side, but they want to see their friends, and that's understandable. But our teachers as well, they're somewhat fearful, but they want to see their kids. They want to be with their students. And I'll have to say that I'm nervous too. I'll admit it. But I'm always nervous at the beginning of a new school year. I was as a classroom teacher. I was as a high school principal. And, I'm nervous right now because there's things I just simply can't anticipate, but I want to make sure that I'm ready. And ready.
I saw yesterday where I believe it was Coffee County, just blanket said everybody entering the building. And I assume that means even the smallest, the youngest children, masks will be mandatory. That seems to be kind of a step above and beyond what we heard from the governor's office, and probably different than you're doing it. Is that correct?
Yes, and in Coffee County, you have a brand new superintendent. In fact, there's about 28 districts around the state right now that are brand new superintendents that have stepped into this. And so they've already had an outbreak. They had to close 2 schools after they started. So, and again, there's a lot of that grief is, making a decision, particularly with the younger children. And again, we've got 2 executive orders, 54 and 55, where the governor gave allowances as far as 12 and under, no need to require the mask. And then the older students, which that's the position we're taking right now, simply because that we have to protect everyone, and more so, particularly our teachers and support staff. So Coffee County is facing that. They've made a dramatic move, particularly with the younger children, but they're trying to protect their staff, and that sometimes gets lost inside of what's being done. The other thing that's happening, Mark, too, as far as that the belief that children that are going to be wearing masks are going to be wearing this all day long. Well, you can't do that. You simply can't do that. You have to have the breathing breaks and being able to, pull that mask off. And same thing with teachers. So we're not being unreasonable. We're having to look at as far as from all angles, as far as being as protective as we can be. One thing I'll bring this that we shared with our teachers, our staff on Monday as an opening comment, that with the disagreement is particularly with the cloth mask. And I mean, they are uncomfortable and they're difficult to wear, and particularly with the younger children, there's this ability to be able to see the face. And I think I addressed this with this group before. Facial cues become very important with the instructional side, but on the learning side, we need to see the mouth, we need to see the position of the tongue when you're learning, as far as particularly early literacy and phonemic awareness. And the cloth mask muffles that. Even with older students, I mean, high school students need to see facial cues. Sometimes remember the teacher look, if you remember in school, just the teacher look, they never had to say a word, they just gave them the look. It becomes important. So what we have done, and they're on their way, we have cloth masks or we have face shields. And we are providing for every student and for every teacher that wants to avail as far as a choice there. The face shields are coming out of South Carolina. The state of South Carolina provided one, has provided a face shield for every student and for every teacher as part of their ability to get school back. It's a different one than the typical right across around the band of the head. It sits on the collarbone like a piece that comes very gently. You've got child size and adult size, and you can push back very gently on your face. It's sort of beveled down here at the bottom. You can wear glasses without fogging up. They can be disinfected and cleaned on the inside. If one of our babies cracks a shield, we have replacements. They're like $1 a piece. But the thing is that you can see the face. It's not as muffled. You can hear. And I've already had some, well, that's not as good as those cloth masks. Well, the thing is that the ability to be able to contain is going to be critical. And even though we're not, we're saying many of the younger children are not going to be wearing the mask, we have parents that are insisting, and again, rightly so, that their children wear masks. But the big piece is our teachers, the comfort level it will give them, as far as whether it's in small group instruction or whatever, that can be heard and understood, and they can give the look. So again, that's something that we'll have 22,000 masks that will be arriving, the face shields rather, and we already have over 1 million of the cloth masks, the face masks that are going to be provided to our schools. And this was before the toolkit that the governor and Commissioner of Education is providing for every school district in the state. We had already, it worked out with TEMA that we had those coming on a regular basis that are disposable, but there'll be a choice there. So I don't know if that gives anyone a little bit of comfort. I know has provided some comfort for our teachers. So talking fast, Mark, but trying to get it all in.
That's all right. Some of us know that teacher look all too well from too much
Hey, I
experience.
still have it. I can still cock that eyebrow, freeze a room.
When the day
Never
went
lose.
by, I didn't get the teacher look. So, hey, something that'll affect a lot of the people on this call and watching, with the combination at Mount Juliet High School, at the schools and how we're breaking them up, you're going to have multiple bus routes. And I know that there's changes even under the best. There's things that happen. You sort of figure it out the day of. But the traffic patterns, school buses in and out, people that make their living driving up and down the road around town. What do you envision that being around the schools where you've combined 7th and 8th grade with the high school?
Well, the thing is that we have staggered those times. We have different times as far as that 7th and 8th grade and then the high school, and deliberately so. And that was something that we had planned early on. And then and in some instances, because of, and it's no secret, before COVID, we were having issues as far as not only having the number of drivers needed and necessary, we're going to have complications there as well, as far as possibly having to do some double routes. We've lost 7 bus drivers in the last month, and it's simply because of the fear of COVID. And again, understand. And so we are, as far as that logistics, as far as trying to minimize that traffic, we've got the start time set up. It's already been, and not just for Mount Juliet High School, Green Hill High School. We're really having to do some new logistics for many of our schools. But here's what also complicates it, Mark. We're going to see more drivers, car traffic than we've ever seen before, because parents are opting to take their children to school as opposed to riding the bus. And, again, we understand that. The bus, and under normal circumstances, we have over 10,000 students that depend on us for transportation to and from school. And we cannot meet the CDC guidelines as far as one student every other seat on a bus. It's one of those things that we just can't meet it, but we know that there's a dependency. If children are going to go to school, they have to have bus transportation. So that's why we require the face mask. And we've had some pushback. We don't have to provide transportation, but we are. But if you're going to use our buses, you're going to have to wear a facial mask getting on the bus. And so with that, we know that our car traffic is going to increase, and we can't control that. But the thing is that, again, it goes back to that patience with us as we adapt to this new world. And we're doing more wraparounds around buildings as well to get off the main thoroughfares, and certainly have better ability to do that in times past, just simply because we've worked on it over the summer.
Something that seems to be playing out daily, changing on a national level at the college level, and everybody knows how important it is for the fabric of the community, and maybe more so even in the rural communities, but fall sports.
Yeah.
Maybe we should save that one for next month, but
well, I'm waiting on the SEC decision right now to see what them, because they're wanting to play regardless of what's happened with the Big Ten. But in all seriousness, it's, and that's part of many of the complaints that we've you can get ready for sports, but you can't have school, and we've got parents that decide to go virtual, but they want their children to participate in sports. I mean, so we've got a mixture of everything. But the thing is, in all seriousness, we're dependent as far as the TSSAA as well. And I've never seen this before, as well as the governor weighing in as far as what you look at as far as contact sports. And so, practice, the conditioning, all that, it's already been taking place. We're looking at first football games starting on the 21st. However, we're also paying attention to what we're seeing in surrounding districts. Dixon County, Cheatham County, they've already had exposure where the whole football teams. And we've certainly seen it episodes already appearing in East Tennessee, whole football teams. We're seeing where we have coaches that are testing positive, and and we're not going to be there's simply will not be an exception here. And that's why I try to prepare. It's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. It's not that I'm wishing for it, but because what we're seeing already for those school districts that have already opened up, have already started, it's going to occur. And so we're hopeful. We know how important it is. Their individual and we'll keep it posted and do the best we can. We're taking the precautions as well, Mark.
I know how important that is to everybody. The ones, maybe even some of the smaller school systems, it's even more important in the community. I don't know, but
I'll have to
I'm not sure if anybody else lost the signal or not. I've lost Dr. Wright, I believe.
It looks like she's lost signal completely. I don't see her in the participants at all.
COVID strikes again. She might try to get back on, but in the event that she does or doesn't, does anybody have any questions or that we can be sure to ask her? Somebody's dialing in. There's Pam Peery. This is just one of those clumsy things that goes along with Zoom calls. So it's kind of like
Working on it. She's lost signal completely. She apologizes, and she's working to get back on.
Hey, don't feel bad. During the presidential press conference the other day, they came in, whispered in his ear, and they ushered him off stage, and everybody was just going, "Where's the speaker?" He came right back. So maybe it'll happen. But Pam, thank you for helping set this up every week. Those of you that are on this call, I see you most of the time. And I know that you've each one been faithful to tuning in and being somebody that gets the straight answer so that we can maybe dispel some of the rumors or the hyperbole or whatever that goes on with this. But I appreciate you taking the opportunity to stay up to date and educated, hear it straight from Dr. Wright. Pam, if you will send our best to Dr. Wright, tell her thank you so much.
Mark, Dr. Wright will come in here and talk to you. Yeah.
If anybody's got any questions, we'll go ahead and.
Are you, Mark? I'm sitting in Pam's office right now. My whole monitor just, for whatever reason, disappeared. The other thing one thing I wanted to add. We're dependent on other school districts right now, and I don't know if you heard, like Clarksville, Montgomery, and some of the surrounding districts have delayed their games until like after Labor Day, if at all. And so we had some cancellations, and so that will impact us. And there's nothing, we can really do about that. And I know that I've already received some calls that are from parents that are upset that we've canceled. So other than that, we're good to go.
You can only do what you can do. I'm going to be watching. I hope Mr. Partlow, the Director of Transportation, does not call in sick on Monday. No personal days on Monday.
Yeah, don't go there.
He's my neighbor, and I'll be thinking about him next Monday morning. So as the buses hit the road for the first time. So
yeah, and again, remember that even in pre-COVID, that's how we it's PC now. Pre-COVID, that the first week of school is always interesting. We'll have the little ones that'll get on the wrong bus simply because they were following a friend, and so they get on there, or that are children, believe it or not, that do not remember where they live. They live in a blue house, and they're not quite sure where it is. And so, again, you've got to have a little bit of school humor We're going to take care of everyone best we can, and we need everyone's prayers.
Do
Year.
do the buses in Wilson County, are they GPS tracked with some sort of a mobile device app like a Metro bus, commuter bus, or Uber, where at any given time you can see where the bus is and whether it's running behind or whether it forgot to stop by your house, where parents...
We have tracking devices on our bus. We have not pushed that out as far as a parent app yet, but that's something that we've certainly given consideration. But we do have GPS tracking devices on our buses.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Wright? We will certainly keep you in our thoughts and prayers and provide you the grace and patience that you deserve, because none of us would want to be in your shoes for the next...
I've been told that a lot. Nobody wants this, but I certainly get a lot of advice though. And but to everyone, if there's something that wasn't answered or something that you think about after, just shoot me a note. I'll get back to you, I promise.
Dr. Wright, I'll just say, with my girls at work, one of the challenges that we have, and I'm sure this is a whole nother topic, us full-time working parents who do not, they work full-time and their kids go some to daycare and after-school care, and was talking about the concerns of teachers that aren't in fact teachers that's going to try to teach a little bit after these after school. Anyway, it's just the challenges of parents who work. So I don't know how that'll get, so I just know I have, 30 girls that work for me and they're all have children, and it is an issue because they do work, and, they have both parents work. So
Yeah, and Lisa, we very well, listen, that's something that has been a part of every conversation we have. And I make no secret, I know that I've offended some of my teachers when I say this, but we are the largest daycare provider for the community. And that's true of any public school system anywhere in the country.
Right.
And we're very aware of that. And specifically with this hybrid plan that we're going on with the remote days, we have childcare. We have worked out plans as far as on those remote days where children cannot stay at home. For those working parents. But again, it's, there's a cost. It's not what you would find with the private providers, but there's a cost. So we're sensitive to that, but we don't know what the solution is until we can get into a full model, in-person learning, and check this virus. Because the thing is that the phase that we do not want to go into is completely remote, where everyone's at home with, that's a good short term, but it's not good long term, and that's what we have to avoid doing. And many of the districts around the country right now have made that decision to go fully remote. And I can tell you, and I hope to spread that is the last thing we want to do. It's not good for children. It's not good for families. We know that for a fact. And it really is, when you look at just the science of instruction, it's not the best option. So our goal is to get back in school full time.
Okay. That was the only question I had that I had asked my girls, and that's what they wanted me to ask. So
Yeah, and tell them we're aware of it. We also have our teachers that have young children as well, that on those remote days, we're trying to help with their children as well.
yes, that makes sense.
Evan Sanders has a question.
I was just going to comment more so anything. Just thank you, Dr. Wright, for that consideration of keeping Kids Club open for those working parents. I know as a parent of 3 kids in the school system, 3 young kids, that's very important, because otherwise, how do we continue to earn an income for our families? So thank you for that consideration and keeping that a viable option.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And it was one that as long as we have the staffing and the space, but that's one thing, at least with hybrid, it gave us that ability, and there's certainly a need. I appreciate that.
If nobody has anything else, maybe see some of you at the ribbon cutting, opening a school. I believe, I tell people, I think I'm probably at the only Chamber of Commerce, perhaps in the state of Tennessee, maybe even farther, that can brag that all 5 of our public schools, high schools, are less than 20 years old now. So quite a testament to the commitment to public education. It's a great day for Wilson County schools. You probably don't see them, Dr. Wright, because they're not the ones to jump out on social media, but I promise you there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of informed and educated business owners and chamber folks that appreciate what you're doing, that understand the consequences and the need to be flexible, and everything will work out just fine if everybody keeps their hearts and minds in the right places. So I hope you get off to a great start, and you've got a huge cheerleading force behind you. So
Appreciate that, Mark. And let me add tomorrow that with the ribbon cutting, and we've already been asked, this is not an open house. That will come later. This is just really a sort of a dedication to open the school up, because again, the schools have been really sanitized, and we're trying to, until we get students into the building, trying to contain that. So there will be an open house at a later time, but this is just to dedicate the school. And just as a side note, August 29th, 2018 is when we did the groundbreaking for this school. Think about that. And you look at the size of this school, and once you see it, it's unbelievable, unbelievable. And so 2 years and 155 rain days, we've been able to open this school. So that's a major feat.
that was one blistering hot day out there.
Yes,
with
it was.
the groundbreaking.
It was.
Most of us have watched that develop over the last couple of years, and I know that while some of us may never have kids, there's something we're awful proud of, and congratulations, and hope everybody has a great week. Dr. Wright, thank you so much for your accessibility and joining us today. Y'all have a blessed day.
Okay, thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.